Hi, welcome to Preps Plus Podcast, episode 48. I'm Josh Hart, sports editor here at the Daily News. I'm here with Jason Leskiw, Preps reporter. I don't really know where this podcast will go. We haven't really set something in stone of what we'll talk about today, so we'll kind of wing it and see where it goes. We know at the end of this we will have an interview with Woodland seniors Tyler Flanagan and Alex Bishop. What did you talk with them about?
Pick their brain about Woodland football, the differences between last year's team and this year's team, and a bunch of other little things like that.
What is the big difference, do you think, in Woodland's team this year? Out to a 5-1 start. Looked decent against Hawkinson. Obviously looking like, they beat a really good Montesano team by handy margin. What do you think the difference is in that team?
That quarterback is fast. That's really the difference, right? To me, that's the big thing.
Obviously, Tyler Flanagan's done so much. I think he's accounted for like 32 of the 35 touchdowns. But, they had a solid quarterback last year. You're talking about, one of those guys, Northwest 9 kid in Wyatt Harsh. Is there anything else you think Woodland's doing this year to really push them to that next level? Or is it just that, even though Harsh was good, Flanagan, has a little bit more of that dual threat that kind of challenges teams more? Or, you're not talking about like a huge, you're talking about a different style quarterback, but you're still talking about some really solid future college kids.
One thing I've wondered so far is the league is kind of down, and I wonder, is it that not as much that they're any better than they were, but their opponents just aren't as good? And that's crossed my mind. The one advantage that you do have with a dual threat quarterback is you freeze the linebackers. You don't even have to try to freeze the linebackers with Flanagan back there, because he can roll right and linebackers either close and come off their coverage, so it definitely presents a serious problem for defenses to figure out. As a coach, I think if I was going up against Woodland, I'd want to tell him, hey, stay home. If he crosses the line of scrimmage, then go ahead. But anything else,
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they progress. I get your point a little bit on the schedule, but they did still play Kalama, albeit not necessarily the same Kalama team as last year, and certainly one that was going through a lot of different transitional changes in that first game. They did play La Center, albeit not the same La Center team as last year, but you still have those two. And Montesano, they really put a whooping on Montesano, and Montesano's a really solid team. I think they're the closest to get to Hawkinson this year, and that includes an Archbishop Murphy team. They did pop into the top 10 in the rankings this week. I actually didn't vote them in the top 10, but there's certainly an argument to be made there. They have beaten some really good teams. I do kind of question the heavy reliance on one guy. Yeah. Especially, let's say they match up. Let's say they get the 2 seed. They roll through the season here. They get the 2 seed. You're still playing like a WF West or Black Hills in those playoffs. There's going to be teams here that really, really have the bodies and the athletes to go up after him. I will wonder how the team responds, but right. You got to like what they've done up to this point.
Yeah.
As far as outside of football, what are some of the storylines down the stretch here as far as teams go and playoff positioning? What are some of the teams, the storylines you're watching down here the stretch in the last couple weeks here as we get to postseason?
The big thing to me is Kalama soccer is looking like a team that's going to get back to state, given they have only 4 seniors, a couple juniors, and then you're talking like 10 or so freshmen. You're looking at a team that is not just young. Most of the time when we say young, it's like, okay, there's just not that many seniors, but there's a lot of juniors and some sophomores sprinkled in. They're young. And so that's a big deal because you're going to have 4 more years, of that kind of talent for the most part. Their best scorer, in my opinion, Melanie Martinez, is only a sophomore.
Yeah, I mean they're a solid team. They obviously have Adna atop that league. Mm-hmm. That's always kind of troublesome and will kind of rear their head in districts again. But yeah, that's a solid team. John Bates does a really good job with those group of girls. I mean, they went to runner-up finish at state a couple of years ago, and they certainly don't have the resources that some of the other schools around the state can put into their programs. Mm-hmm. But Adna's done a really good job, and Kalama's really proven themselves right atop that league with Adna. So they've done a really good job. And another team that's been really interesting this year, and they went to state last year, but Jason, you were out there earlier this week, and you talked with Josh Donaldson. The Ari Long slow pitch team. They were undefeated entering today's league title game with Camas. They lost in that one. But now they have a district championship game against Camas. What have you learned talking with that group of girls, and on what's made them so successful this season?
So one thing, last year they had girls on the team, starters that had never swung a bat before, things like that. Just girls who had to start from the very beginning. So there were fewer teams in the state playing slow pitch. It was an easier trip to state than it is this year. Now with increased competition and increased experience, both from the girls who were had played fast pitch but played slow pitch last year and got some some lessons under them, and then more girls coming from the fast pitch team to play slow pitch. They're going to be a tough out come districts and come state, which I expect them to get to state. And they do the one thing watching them, when people go watch them, that'll set them apart, is they have in slow pitch you get the 4 outfielders. I would imagine most adults that have played softball as adults, it's how you play, at least that's just slow pitch rules. And they say, okay, well, we still have the 10 girls, we're going to bring 1 in. And so they have 5 infielders and 3 outfielders because they have speed out there. And it's worked well for them. They started that alignment 2 or 3 games in. And since they started that, they have yet to allow more than 3 runs in a game.
Yeah, well, aside from tonight's game.
Of course.
They lost 13-7 to Camas. But, for a second-year program, they're having a heck of a year.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of fast pitch girls transferring over. And, it's kind of a fun group. I watched them yesterday, and, they have a lot of fun out there. So that's cool to see. Across town, another team that's really impressed me this year, the Mark Morris girls soccer team. Jason, you were out at the Civil War a couple weeks ago. What's making Mark Morris so successful this year? Especially, we figured Ari Long would be the top team, especially, in the Longview area. Mark Morris has really had a really good season so far.
Well, the one thing they've managed to do is they've won the close games. They have a couple girls who can make really difficult shots and score from either side of the goal, and that's a big deal. And Heaven Burr, she just out hustles everybody. I mean, you don't have to. It's like she's one of those girls. There can be, everybody can be wearing the same number, but you know who she is just because she's the one that's going to be around the ball at almost all times.
Right.
And so, and that's been a major catalyst for that team.
Yeah, on the same topic of girls soccer, I was out at Castle Rock yesterday. That's a team, I didn't realize how young they were. This is a team that won 3 games in the past 3 seasons. They have 6 wins already this year. They're looking like they can get that inside edge to a playoff spot. They have a big one on Thursday with Stevenson. But they're a well-rounded team, and they have so many of these freshmen that have come in and really given life to that program, and it's pushed, as Coach Alyssa Hudson said, it's pushed the level of the juniors and seniors up even more. You see these girls come in, and it's just raised that bar. So another program that's really done really well in kind of taking that next step. Of course, sticking in Castle Rock, that Castle Rock volleyball team, until that game with La Center, just kept on winning. And you expect them maybe to drop, that last year they went through the whole regular season undefeated. Now, obviously they had that loss to La Center on Tuesday, but man, that Gina Bay's group consistently maintains that level of success.
And that's one thing, one of their top hitters last year, Anna Dolan, she graduated, and I wondered, well, what happens? I mean, you got a pretty important piece to replace. They've been all right.
Yeah, they just do a really good job. Gina Bays has to be, pretty much every year, in that conversation for our overall Coach of the Year. Just with the way she's able to coach up those girls, you got to like their chances come state time to make a run. Now, obviously, you have the private schools in that 1A that are so difficult. If you get matched up with a Linden Christian or somebody like that, it's really tough. But you got to kind of like their chances for a run depending on how matchups shake out.
What's the we were talking about this, and I can never remember there's a movie where there's the trees. It's not the Avengers.
There's a movie where there's trees.
It's a superhero movie, and one of the superheroes is a Groot.
Okay.
Groot.
That's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Clearly not my cup of tea, right? But so I brought my family to state last year, and my son was in the parking lot when two of the private schools pulled up, and my son tells his mom, "Hey, Mama, there's Groot. There's Groot," pointing to the girls coming off the bus because they're all, it's just 6'1". They come out of the womb at 6'1", and it's like, so. That's the tough part for Castle Rock, is it's like you could do all these incredible things, but then you got to match up with schools who are have a significant advantage. Yeah, there's
some really good schools out there, and so it makes it tough. A couple of other volleyball teams I want to highlight. Kalama volleyball's done a really good job. They don't have that talent that they had a couple of years ago when you had just insane level of athleticism, but similar to Gina Bays, Jenny O'Neill does a great job coaching those girls up, and they have some solid athletes. In Kapia Wetmore, you got Paige Chinchin as a freshman stepping up, and then when you have a setter like Amanda Killinen, who might as well just be Jenny O'Neill's twin, that's a really solid group out there. Right now, they're leading the Central 2B League. That's another team I like to go far, and the Nacelle volleyball team has just cruised through everybody, and they've competed at some tournaments and stuff with some really good teams from higher classifications. That's a team that could really make some noise at that 1B level as well.
So Nacelle feels like a program of the year type school, and since you mentioned Coach of the Year, their success this year, both volleyball, football, it's just, everything they're doing is just top notch.
It'll be interesting to see how that transfers over to the basketball season, especially when the boys basketball team made some historic run last year and return a lot. That'll be interesting as we kind of take a peek ahead at the basketball season. We're already gearing up for a basketball magazine. You got to like some of the guys out there too. So you're right. Nacelle could make some noise up there. So that's actually a good point. That'll be interesting to watch. Another storyline I like to highlight here. Ben Slind and Gabe Slind and Ben Hawkes are undefeated currently at doubles. They go into sub-districts this weekend, and they were 4th at state last year. They've played together at times since they were 8 years old. They're really good. They could really make some noise here. This districts, I anticipate they win districts again, and then state in the spring. But yeah, they're really good, and they're fun to watch play because they play off each other so well. I watched them last year at districts, and they don't necessarily look like overpowering tennis players, but they really work well and play well off each other. Any other, before we get to the big football game this week, any other stories, lines, or teams you wanted to mention?
That's all I got right now.
Okay. Big game, football game this week. You got Amity versus Rainier. A couple people I've heard call it the biggest game ever played in Rainier, because Rainier's big games have often come on the road or at Hillsborough Stadium.
Right.
So you have number 1 Amity, number 2 Rainier, both undefeated. De facto league title game unless Klatsk and I and Willamina shake things up here in the last 2 weeks. It should be a lot of fun. You talked with King a little bit. What do you anticipate out of this matchup? I mean, they haven't squared off since 2009, so we don't really have a whole lot to go off of.
Well, the number one thing is they feel like it's their biggest game of the year so far too. It's not, obviously you're facing number 1 in the state, and King said, hey, they are as advertised. It's not some fluky thing that they. So they know they're in for a battle to the last possession, and that they're going to have to capitalize on every little thing, whether it's getting that extra yard on a run, stretching a little bit, whatever. They're going to have to pull out all the stops, and it should be a fun one.
Yeah, and the thing I liked about what King said too is and he says he hates to talk about losing, but if you lose this, it isn't the end of the world. It's both teams will still likely make state. Both teams will still likely have a first round home game. It's not the end of the world. There's a good chance they face each other again later this postseason. So I know he's not going out there and directly telling his guys, but just that philosophy of like, hey, yes, we want this game. It's a huge game. We want the league title. We want to beat this team and set the tone for the postseason, but it's okay to take the risks and do everything because it's not the end of the world if you lose. I really like when a team comes into the game with that type of philosophy, because I think it makes them play free and loose and willing to go after things. So I haven't made my pigskin profit pick yet, but I might lean toward Rainier just because of that. Plus, you got the big old diesel that they can lean on when they need to. You have some real breakout guys that have come through this year. They're going to need more than Joey Tripp, I think. I mean, Joey Tripp's great. I don't think he can do it all himself in this one.
Right.
But anticipate David Caton to have a big game, Hunter Bolch to have a big game. There's some guys out, Kenny Tripp to have a big game. There's some guys out there that can really step up. I'll be there Friday night, and I'm really excited for it. The Highway 30 Hootenanny and this game have been the 2 games I'm excited most for this year, and maybe Mountain View Kelso next week. But
let me get a bold prediction from you as far as biggest play of the game. Who's going to make it? What's it going to look like?
Well, watching Rainier enough the last 3 years, I would say Joey Tripp probably looks like he's about to get sacked. Rolls out and pulls his patented spin move and probably rips off like a 40-yarder to set up a touchdown, in like a 3rd and long situation or something.
Slays a dragon. Right.
I could definitely see that happening. I would imagine it happens in the 3rd quarter too, to be real bold.
Okay, there we go.
Because the Rainier's a 3rd quarter team. If they're down, I could see them being down in this one 14-7, 14-0 at half, somewhere in that range. But winning the game like 31-17 or something, 31-21. Okay. I could definitely see that happen. I don't know what my official pick, but now that I'm talking about it, I think I'll pick Rainier. I like Rainier a lot, man. I like that team.
Yeah. We all know it.
But, I don't know. Sal doesn't like him, though.
No?
He's been dogging on him because of the diesel. He doesn't like it.
The diesel's boring.
But they run a lot of spread this year, too. They only use the diesel when, they want to really set the tone, which is a good way to go about things. When you stick a couple extra linemen in there.
Oh, especially when you got a guy in the middle who's 6'6" and nothing but muscle.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, there's a few teams that would be interesting to watch here down the stretch. So one of those teams is Woodland, and we'll jump right into that interview with one of the top players in the state and his cohort, Alex Bishop.
Sorry.
All right, I'm here with Tyler Flanagan, Alex Bishop, quarterback and wide receiver, and also safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For Woodland football. Thanks for coming, guys. Yeah. How's the season been so far for you?
It's been pretty good. We're 5-1, and offense has been rolling. Defense has been doing great, and our only loss is to Hawkinson. We played them tough, so
yeah. So far, so good. Like what
yeah, two years in a row with Hawkinson, where you guys have been the only team to kind of come close. They've blown everybody else out. But you guys haven't been able to see him in the postseason. How has that bugged you guys at all?
A little bit. It would be tough to see in the postseason because that means we'd both have to go a long ways. But I feel like a second chance at him would be really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's always fun playing them. They're a good team.
Right. How close are you guys to? Do you guys talk with their players at all often or anything like that?
I talk to Sawyer and Peyton here and there, and that's about it. But other than that, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay. What's the difference this year between the two teams for your team from last year to this year?
I would have to say a lot of maturity and just experience because we have a lot of seniors this year, and we went to that WF West game last year, so it gave us a lot of experience playing in that game.
Okay.
I'd have to say our linemen, they've stepped up big this year, and as well as our defense. They've both been doing great.
Okay.
Linemen on both sides, D-line and offensive line, they both stepped up big this year.
Okay. Yeah, it seemed like the defensive side there's been some pretty significant improvement.
Yeah, there has been.
Who do you guys figure is the biggest impact defender?
Probably Elijah Schultz by far. He gets everybody in the right spot, and he makes at least 10 to 15 tackles a game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How about you guys as safety group?
We're okay. We have a lot to work on. We gave up some long touchdowns against Hawkinson and man-to-man coverage, and there's a lot of technique stuff to work on. So.
Okay. I think last year I asked about your dad a little bit, but what's it been like as a senior playing his defense, and kind of has anything changed, or is there a different feeling or anything like that?
Not much has changed. He's still really hard on me. He expects me to do a lot, but he's giving me a lot more freedom and trusts me a little bit more to just run free and just read the offense and make plays.
Okay. Offensively, obviously, for you, it's a major change, playing quarterback. But what's it like going from White Harsh to Tyler? As far as catching passes, what are some of the differences and things that you've had as a receiver group you guys have had to do?
You just gotta block longer because, if Tyler's sometimes if he's running left, I'm running right. I can't just I'm not gonna block or whatever, because you never know, because he'll scramble. He'll be all over the place. He'll be on the left side of the field. Next thing you know, he's on your side. So if you don't hold your block for long enough, you guys didn't get him. So the blocking has changed a lot.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Everything else is pretty much the same routes, and he gets the ball where he needs to be. So.
Okay. Watching him run 200 yards to get 30, is that tiring?
Yeah, especially when you keep blocking for him. But
okay. No, that's been something that you've done a couple times this year, reversing field and stuff like that, and obviously it's worked out more than it hasn't. It seems like. I'll use last week. You had a run. I think you guys started your right around midfield. You went to the right, then went to the left, then went back to the right. I think it was, and scored. and it was it was like a 50-yard run that it took about 40 seconds off the clock. And how tiring is something like that?
It's pretty tiring. I mean, it's nice to get in the end zone, like it's kind of relieving, but like people are trying to give me some chest bumps and side bumps, and I'm not getting like 6 inches off the ground. I'm not getting up at all. Okay. And I'm sitting there, I have to do PAT, and I'm like, I just have to catch the snap. That's all I'm worried about.
Okay. I want to go back, and I'm sure this stings a little bit still, but the WF West game was one that went down to the final play. I was in the stands probably around the 50, and I mean, the kick wasn't right down the middle of the uprights for WF West. I thought it was a missed. Well, actually, the first kick was missed.
Yeah, the first one missed.
And how much of a toll did that take on you guys? And was that something that was mentioned at all in spring or summer or anything like that?
Yeah, it took a really big toll. Like, kids wanted to work a lot harder over the off season because it hurt.
Mm-hmm. I definitely felt a lot of kids. We had big expectations, and then that happened, and everybody just got down. But then it just created more opportunity to work harder, and everybody's like, well, we have to get over that hump next year and beat WF West or whoever it is. So that helped a lot during spring ball to keep kids motivated.
Okay. I mean, that was a team that we'll say this record-wise, you guys are certainly a better team than you were last year. And that WF West team had, I don't know about, if they had too many D1 football players, but they certainly had 3 guys drafted into Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. There's another kid that almost certainly will be in a year and a half. Going up against athletes like that and coming so close, is that motivating? I guess knowing that, hey, on paper you guys are better this year.
Yeah, in a way it was, because like we were this close, so it's kind of like a confidence boost. Like, we can do this.
That's what I agree. It's just kind of confidence, knowing like, well, they have all these stud athletes, not particular football players, but just really good athletes, and we were that close. So it means like kind of eye opener, like, oh, we can do some things. But.
Okay. You guys were favorites for the at least 2 or 3 seed entering the season. Has there been a challenge to remain level-headed at all, or?
Not really. I mean, we never underestimate any opponent, and like last year we lost on a few, like last second place, so we just have to play every game our hardest and try our hardest and just take one win at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with him. Like, from our experiences in high school, we've lost to some teams that maybe we were better than or shouldn't have lost to. So you got to show up every game.
Okay. What things do you guys not agree on? Is there? Walk me through some of the off-field stuff. What do you guys do for fun? And
off-field, what do we not agree on?
I don't know, but
we agree on a lot.
Last 3 weekends we came down to Longview to bowl.
Yeah, we started bowling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bowling doesn't agree with us, though.
The bowling doesn't agree with us. That's for sure.
You guys are not alone.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk routes then. I guess. What's your favorite route to throw, and what's your favorite route to run?
It's right at the post for us right now.
Yeah, I definitely like throwing the post to him.
Okay. Is it just he's going to go up and get it?
Yeah.
Is that you feel the same?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. There's not many guys that can defend you. They're big enough to defend you, and obviously, a good contact PBU is tough to do without getting flagged for pass interference.
Yeah.
How much of that have you used to your advantage over the last couple of years?
A lot. Because he does a good job of getting the ball where only I can get it, so it's super helpful.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was like, he high jumped 6'6" last year.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
6'6".
So I mean, he can go up and get it, so it makes it really nice on me.
Right. How many track athletes do you guys have on the team this year? There's quite a few, right?
I think there's 3 of us went to state, and then I think there's 5 of us that went to districts. Right? Me, you.
Yeah.
Bowman, Pacquiao, and Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac, yeah.
Okay. What did Bowman go for? Shot put?
Shot put and javelin.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys got a lot of jab throwers, don't you?
Yeah, a few.
Okay. Okay. Did working on the jab last year help build arm strength at all?
I feel like it did. I mean, it just got my arm in shape 4 months earlier than just not doing jabs, so I felt like that actually helped quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you've had to work on as far as throwing the football? Whether it's getting a good spiral on it or...
I feel like it's just technique and repetition, just repeating the perfect throw or like the spiral every time. Because like some people come up to me and they're like, you don't throw like a quarterback. And I'm
Okay.
like, well, I mean, if I can get it there, that's all I care about. I'm not trying to look pretty out there. I'm just trying to get him the ball.
Okay.
He's gotten a lot better. Like over summer ball, he's throwing ducks. No, he's gotten a lot better.
We're out there
doing a lot of work.
We're out there doing 6th period and we're running fades, and I think 6 of them in a row we're all ducks.
There's all over.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we've
He's got it down now, though.
We
We
got
did
it
a lot of
down.
work over summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It took a while though.
All right. What about dropbacks? I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people, people might watch and might not even think about as part of playing quarterback, but...
Yeah, I mean, I don't try to think a whole lot about that. They yell at me to run more if like working on footwork and stuff. They just said if it gets tight, just run the ball. Don't worry about like sliding up in the pocket or whatnot.
Okay.
So but like they work on footwork and stuff, but they're not like, hey, you have to do your 3-step drop or your 5-step drop. It's just, just get back there and throw the ball.
Okay. And have you had to do anything different as far as arm care goes, as far as icing after game, anything like that?
Not really.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of go with it.
You just fall on your left shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And kind of walk me through the last couple games of last season, because that's something I feel like I don't know if it was just the end of the season type thing, but it felt like those last 3 weeks, and probably not just for you guys, but I'm sure for other teams felt that way too. I just can't remember. Did those feel long for you guys the last 3 weeks of the season?
I think so, because like it started to get cold, it started to get wet a little bit, and it just kind of got the same old practice and film on Monday, run on Monday, Scout O, Scout D, Team O, Team D, and just kind of got repetition. But it's the same. It has to happen. You have to do those stuff. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I agree with him. Just doing it the same thing every week over and over and over. It probably does seem to feel longer, but it's necessary.
Okay. You guys have Madden breaks or anything in the middle of the?
No.
No.
No, nothing like that.
We don't get that luxury. We're not. Coaches don't think we're that good.
No.
No.
Okay. What about what's you have a unique schedule for a high school kid?
Yeah.
What's your day-to-day like, Alex?
Me? I just wake up, go to school, and go to football, and then go home.
Okay.
Nothing crazy.
Okay. And so I'll mention, I always get the name of this program wrong. It's
New athlete?
huh?
Which one?
The college at
Running Start?
Running Start. That's right.
Yeah.
See, I can never. I always want to call it Head Start or Leap or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Does that help as far as playing football goes?
I feel like it does, because like I wake up at 8:30 and get to school at 9:30, and I'm done by 11 or so, and I can go work out and like just take care of my body and take a nap if I need to, and rest up and catch up on sleep and just kind of ice up my body. So
Okay. How angry does that make you?
I know. It kind of sucks at times when you always hear about them just sleeping until 12, just going and doing their own thing.
Okay. No, it's funny because I would have killed for a program like that.
Yeah.
As a kid. No, it's a good thing. Does one thing that you guys do as far as the offense goes that is unique, probably definitely across the state, and I'm not sure there's many teams in the country that don't have a running back in the backfield a lot. How I guess when you guys line up and another team's linebackers don't have to focus too much on the backfield, how do you guys compensate for that as far as running routes, trying to see the defense do? What do you guys like to do in that regard?
I mean, it's just matchups across the board with like they're pressing or whatnot, and I can trust all my receivers to get open, and it's just if they're playing off, just run like a 5-yard out or something, just something to in space, like go to space, and if like there's no one in the box, then because if they're not focused because we don't have a running back, it's like there's no one in the box, I can run,
right,
and we'll call a run play for me, and then that's open, and then they'll have to put guys in the box, and then it open up the passing game. So
okay,
just kind of like a back and forth game.
Okay.
Yeah, the way I look at it, I mean, we trust all of our receivers just to get open and do their thing. And worst if they're not open, he just goes and does his thing and just runs around. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm not really worried about it.
Okay. Do you ever do the Reggie Miller thing when you line up and talk some trash to the DB?
Not usually when I line up. Maybe if I make a good play.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more in practice, but
Yeah, well, that's why I asked,
It's
yeah.
kind of more of a practice thing. We like to get at each other at practice.
Okay. Are you guys familiar with Reggie Miller's technique?
A little bit.
I haven't seen
It was the best. So I mean, he was a good basketball player by NBA standards, but he wasn't great. But what he did was kind of, I guess, maybe what James Harden does, as far as, even though I hate what James Harden does.
yeah.
But so Reggie Miller would talk trash to a guy all game, and by about the third quarter, the defender couldn't hold his emotions in, and he'd start jabbing, and they'd get to the line, and then officials would start looking for it, and they'd pick on it, and it's just it worked.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, some history, I guess, make me feel old.
We used to do like competition Wednesdays, so we used to wear like our game like opposite of like game day. So if we had a home game, we were like all white, and then Woody's like, well, if you score a touchdown, you better do your dance, spike the ball, or celebrate, and because you can't do it on game day, so might as well do it in practice. And then it got to the point where our coaches were like, we can't do this anymore. This is getting out of hand.
Because someone would score and it'd take us 10 minutes to get to the next drill because we're all celebrating.
We're celebrating, throwing the ball across the field at each other.
What were the best celebrations?
The one that was popular was like if a receiver catches the ball, he'd just like hand it to the DB or hug it to the DB.
Yeah.
Okay.
He punted it and just like legit stands. After he scored, he booted it.
Booted it. I was like,
Did he have to go get the ball?
yeah.
Good.
I think that's when it kind of ended, but it's when he booted it.
Yeah, after that, it was like,
Coach was like, all right, we need to calm that down a little bit.
Okay. It takes too much time.
Yeah. And then it creates bad habits. Like, my dad was like, it just creates bad habits for like the game and stuff, so we don't need that.
Yeah. It's too much.
Okay. And that makes me think about, Woody has some post-game talks that are funny, but sometimes at least one that I've been around, I'm just like, wait, what? Does that how many moments do you guys have during this post-practice, post-game talks?
Yeah, he's a special character.
Yeah. Like, we never know what he's going to talk about. Like, me and him sometimes make bets, like, after we have, like, a little powwow, like, where coach talks, and then, like, and then we're sitting there, and Woody starts talking, we're like, oh, he's going to talk for 10 more minutes. He's like, oh, I think he's going to talk for 15, and, like, we see how long. He always has a story for everything.
Right.
Which is fun. Like, he relates to the kids really well.
Yeah.
But you never know what he's going to bring up or what story he's going to pull out of his hat. But
as a writer, I can appreciate it because sometimes, like I said, sometimes I have no idea what he's talking about. But other times, hey, Woody. And other times, as a writer, I can appreciate. You know, he starts on one foot, and then I'm just like, okay. And then after it ends, I'm like, how in the world did he tie that together? You know?
Like there's sometimes where he tells a story, and I'm like, well, how did we get to that? Like, where does it tie back? Then all of a sudden he ties it back into something. I'm like, well, all right, we'll just roll with it.
Right, right. Yeah, sometimes it's funny because like some things are hard to make sound good, but some people can do it.
Yeah.
Very few, but you know, yeah, it's kind of I almost every time if I'm there at the end towards the end of a practice or definitely at the end of a game, I really want to be in the huddle just to hear what in the heck he's going to say.
Yeah.
So.
If we play good.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, is it they're a little bit different when it's about
Yeah, there's a different tone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's this, he has this weird thing, like, and we kind of make it a game, like, who can get the closest to him, because he has this tendency, if you sit there with your helmet off, he'll, like, pet your head almost, or, like, running his fingers through your hair, and everybody, like, we always watch for it, because it'll happen at some point, like, he'll start rubbing your head or do something funny, and everybody just kind of laughs about it, and he still goes on with the story, just nonchalant, just petting your head.
Okay.
I was in the back because, like, usually Coach Woody talks, he's the offense coordinator, and then his dad talks, the defensive, and then Woody will go in the back, and sometimes he'll straight give you a massage. So that's why I sit in the back. If you're lucky enough, you just get a free massage.
There you go. That's usually a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then kind of as far as kind of closing down here, what do you guys want to accomplish for the next 4 games?
So probably the next 4 games, probably win as many games as possible. And was that going into the district crossover game? Is that after? Is that?
I believe 7, 8, 9. Wait, I think there's 4 more games in the regular season at this point, isn't there?
I think there's 3.
Isn't it week 7?
Yeah, it's week 7.
7, 8, 9. Oh,
there's only 9. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Next 3 games.
All right. Well, the next 3 games probably win as many as we can to get the best seeding as possible for districts.
Okay.
That's probably the goal.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with him. Just win out, get better, prepare ourselves for playoffs.
And stay healthy for sure.
All right.
Yeah, that's a big one. Stay healthy. We can't have any injuries.
Because we had our stud defensive tackle just got out of surgery yesterday with his ACL tear and meniscus.
And that's rib.
Yeah, jack rib.
Did he hurt that week 2, right?
Week 2, yeah.
Okay.
And he just got out of surgery. He just had surgery yesterday.
Yikes, that's brutal. It's funny that NFL, you guys will have surgery 2 days after the injury, but in reality, that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about is there any small thing that you guys want as far as getting better, or even off the field stuff that you guys hope to work on, or is it just kind of day by day, kind of work on what we see and?
Just almost in-game changes, or just week by week, defenses of how they line up, how we're gonna block it, and different schemes. Which our line does a really good job because all of them are super athletic, and our line coach is pretty good, and Woody is pretty smart with how to block things and how to get people open. So.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Anything?
I'm just with him, just week by week, day by day, just keep getting better.
I'm shocked. You agree?
Yeah.
All right.
There's not much we don't agree on.
All right. Things could be much worse. You could disagree on everything.
Yeah, true.
No, I was supposed to run a slant. No, opposed. Okay.
That's Jaeger. That's Christian
Okay, is it?
Jaeger.
Okay.
Yeah.
What game was that?
That was Washougal. We were trying to run this play at the.
It's a fade and an out or something like that.
Yeah.
He ran a slant straight into the.
Yeah, we were trying to run this play at the end of the half, and then he runs a slant, and then Woody's yelling at him. He's like, oh, I thought we were running a running back screen. And then he called the same play, and he's like, oh, coach really must love the running back screen or something. We're like, no, the play was supposed to go to you.
Yeah, that was.
Okay. Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Woody's not calling a screen for running back. He's not.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you next time.